Hey, it's Ann Nguyen back with Health Coach Marketing Experts. Today's special guest is Tom Corson-Knowles. Tom is not only a health coach, blogger, and online marketing consultant. He is also a best-selling author of Dr. Corson's Top 5 Nutrition Tips, the blog, business book, and others. Tom's most recent project is blogbusinessschool.com, a free training program to teach anyone, anywhere, how to build a successful online business. So, Tom, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here and to share with all these awesome health coaches.
Great. Well, just so everyone can get an idea of who you are, can you tell us about, how you got started as a health coach and where you are today?
Sure. So my story starts back when I was a teenager. I was 13, and I was sick all the time. I had horrible acne. I had, bronchitis, sinus infections. Every month I was on a different antibiotic for my chronic infections, and I was on medication for the acne as well. And, things were just going downhill for me fast, and my parents were actually both medical doctors. And my mom actually started studying nutrition about a few years before that, and she realized, the problem with my health wasn't that I didn't have the right antibiotics, it was that I didn't have the right nutrition. So we started this, big change of our diet. The entire family changed our diet. And over just a couple of months, everything turned around for me, and I was just thrilled because I was so sick and tired of being sick and tired, And so I just said, I love being healthy, and this is awesome, but I didn't really think about it again. I just continued to eat as healthy as I could because I wanted to be healthy, but I didn't think about it as a career at all until I was in business school in college, and, I had friends working 100 hours a week in corporate America, and I was like, there's no way I'm ever going to do that. I mean, 100 hours a week, it's ridiculous. You don't even have time to exercise or eat healthy or anything, right? You can't live a complete balanced life that way. So I was like, oh gosh, I have got to start my own business. And so I kind of started health coaching actually then when I was just 19 years old, with the help of my parents who were both retired from medicine then and were working nutrition. And so I just started, at first I was just doing it for free. I was just doing it to teach people one-on-one, and we were selling a product called Juice Plus, which is fruit and vegetables in capsules. It was a network marketing company. And so a lot of the sales presentation I was doing was really all education. People would say, well, I've got acne, and tell me about that. And I would talk about, inflammation. I talk about white sugar and white flour and dairy and how all those things contribute to acne. And I'd really educate people, and I would say, and I think the most important thing you can do for your health is eat more fruits and vegetables every day. We're supposed to eat 7 to 13 servings a day. No one does, and I take Juice Plus to help bridge that gap. And, I just got all these sales doing that, and I realized, hey, there's not just a market for the product, Juice Plus, there's also this market for people who need that one-on-one coaching and education, and that's when I started actually getting paid as a health coach as well.
Now, this was when you were 19, you said? This is when you started getting paid as a health coach?
No, that's actually when I started with Juice Plus when I was 19. It was probably not till I was about 21, 22 till I started getting paid as a health coach.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah,
so,
but full-time I was basically health coaching, right? It was just instead of getting paid for that, I would do the free consultations and sell the product and make my profit that way.
Okay. So then can you kind of give us a picture of what your health coaching business looks like now? I mean, how many hours per week that you work? I mean, I can only imagine you don't work at the 100 hours per week that you said your friends did at that point in time.
No, I definitely do not work that hard. Although, I don't know. I mean, maybe if you add it all up all the time I spend reading and going to seminars and studying, maybe it does add to 100 hours a week, but it's, now
but
it's
that's not really work. It's
more
fun to me.
Exactly. Everything now I do because I love to do it. And,
yeah.
I have that choice that, I don't have to choose between, going to work just to make money and spending time with my family because I get to do what I love to do, and so that's awesome. But actually, I'm pretty much out of health coaching right now. I've kind of transitioned out of that because I realized that the one-on-one model is really limiting. I love, health coaching one-on-one, but at the same time, if I do an hour-long coaching session, the most people I can help in a single day is 8 people. And I realized, if I take my business online and share this education online, I can help thousands of people a day rather than just 1 or 2. And so I'm actually pretty much full-time. Exactly, the leverage. So I'm pretty much full-time education now online, doing blogging and podcasting, interviews, webinars, things like that to teach people about nutrition and health.
Okay. Well, and I've listened to some of your podcasts on AuthenticHealthCoach.com, and you have had some really excellent guest speakers. Barry Sears with his own diet, and just a lot of big name people. So I guess, can you tell us a little bit about how you're able to get connected with all these people, and more importantly, how do you monetize your podcast or your blog? Because for a lot of people, they're in it and they do it, but it doesn't necessarily produce anything for them.
Yeah, definitely. That's a great question. I think that's the biggest problem. Pretty much everyone I talk to who is a health coach, or even just in the health field, whether you're a massage therapist or an acupuncturist or whatever, the biggest problem we have is marketing. We're generally, if you're in this field, it's because you love to help people and you want to help people. But at some point, you're going to realize that, look, hey, I've got all the knowledge I need about nutrition and health and whatnot right now. What I really need to focus on is how to learn marketing and how to learn how to help more people, because, like I said, if you're only doing one-on-one coaching and that's all you do in your business, you have a limit to how many people you can help. So I found that, using the podcast show and going online was the best way to reach more people. And as far as monetizing it, it's all about building relationships. So the great thing about being online is that you can build more relationships. And so with the podcast show, for instance, I don't sell anything directly on the podcast show. I don't ever say, hey, go to my website and buy my product or anything like that. But what I do say is, hey, go to my website, go to my blog, get on my email list, and get free tips. And I build those relationships with people. So, they hear me on the podcast show, and then they see my blog, they read the helpful articles, and they get on my email list, and they're getting updates. And then through the email list is how I sell products. So then I'll say, hey, check out this product, check out that product, check out my coaching packages, check out these things. And so I actually sell through that email list or through webinars and things like that. So it's a whole business behind it. I can't say just one thing that I do to monetize it, because there's so many things that you do. But it's really all about, what it comes down to in the end is it's about building relationships with customers that really last. And, that's what business is founded on, whether you're a health coach or whatever business you're in, it's all about building relationships. So
with the building relationships part, it sounds so simple. I think a lot of people take it for granted. Can you just elaborate a little bit more about how those relationships are built and, how long it takes for those things to occur?
Sure, definitely. So in typical sales books, you'll see that most of them say it takes between 5 and 12 exposures for a customer, for basically a prospect to go to a customer. So, if you're cold calling someone, you're not often going to sell them on the first call, but you keep calling them back and calling them back and calling them back. Somewhere between the 5th and the 12th call, they're likely to buy from you. And I think that's pretty much universal kind of rule of thumb or number there, 5 to 12 contacts. So online, it's the same thing. If they hear you once on your show, or if they have one free coaching session with you, that's kind of one contact. And so the problem with most health coaches that I've seen is that they have very little contact with their customers or potential customers. So, they might be on a local event, right, and they're talking at a local event. So they're giving a speech in their community. Maybe there's 100 people in the room, and that's great. But if you only talk to those 100 people one time, it's unlikely that you're going to sell a lot of those people into a health coaching package or any other product. So what I would do instead is when I speak to those 100 people, what I would say at the end of my talk, I wouldn't try to sell a product, or I would try to sell a product, but for the people who don't buy the product that day, I would say, hey, sign up for my email list and get this free report. I've got this great free report, top 5 things you can do for your health to reduce your risk or, get rid of fat or whatever it is. So I give away free stuff, and that's the best way to build relationships online, even in person, is to give people free stuff. Everyone loves free stuff. If you give away free samples, free coaching, whatever it is, people love free stuff. And if you give enough free stuff away, you're going to get enough people onto your email list, into your network, and then you can keep marketing them and keep contacting them. And that's how you build those relationships over time. You get them so that they can agree to, get on your email list, and then you continue to follow up with them that way. That's what I found to be the best.
So just so I get this right in my head, it sounds like your business model is building relationships via providing great content on your blog, on your podcast, maybe teaching something at a seminar, and offering a product at the end, but then also for those who don't buy, say, oh, here, sign up for my list, and you'll continue to get great articles and get this free report. So you're still capturing those people onto the list, and then the money is in the list, as they say, right? So then you have a continued opportunity to stay in touch with them, send them great information, and then build that relationship of trust over time. So then later on, when you offer a product, they know you, like you, and trust you, and then they're ready to buy whatever you offer them. Does that sound right?
Exactly. That's exactly right. And I think that what really makes this business model shine so well is that, let's say you give a talk to 100 people, and let's say at least 90 of those people in that room, they're not ready to buy from you right now for whatever reason. Maybe they don't have the money. Maybe they don't really have a problem right now. Maybe they're overweight, but they're not ready to make a change. And if you don't get them on your email list, if you don't stay in touch with them, when they are ready to make a change, they're never going to be able to contact you. And that's the problem, because you want to be in that relationship with them so that when their problem does come up and they want to buy from you, that they can. And the only way to do that is to build that relationship, get them on your list, find some way to follow up with those people. And, that's really the key. It's all about follow-up. When I was in my first business, one of my mentors was earning like over $5 million a year selling this Juice Plus. And he said, the fortune's in the follow-up. It's all about the follow-up. The only difference between me and someone who's not successful is that I followed up more times. And I really took that to heart.
Interesting. So then, how do you work your network marketing business into your health coaching business nowadays? Do you do much health coaching anymore? But it sounds like maybe not so much one-on-one, but do you do group sessions online, or do you only offer the free sessions just as a way to build the relationship? How does the network marketing fit into your current coaching model?
Yes, so there's lots of ways you can do it. What I've done is a lot of free sessions. So free sessions are a great way. So you do, usually free session is 15 and 30 minutes. I try not to do an hour because that can get really time-consuming really fast. But if it's someone, who I really like to spend time with, and that's kind of how I do business now. It's not about who I need to talk to, but it's more about who I enjoy talking to and enjoy spending time with. If it's someone I really want to help and I really like this person, then I'll do a 15 or 30-minute coaching session. And then at the end of the session, I'll say, this is what I've chosen to do for my own health, and I think it's a great choice, and, I'd love for you to take a look. It's pretty simple. I just do a soft sell. I don't do any kind of hard selling at all. I don't think it's necessary by any means. And, if you give someone lots of free education, you take the time, you show them you care about them, they're really likely to buy from you because they trust you. And that's what it's all about. It's all about trust.
Mm-hmm. So, okay, so it sounds like with the network marketing, you have the free session with them and you're still building that relationship, giving them information or whatever it is that they're looking for. Do you offer the chance to buy at every encounter, or, what's your model there?
Every phone encounter, it's not necessarily, it depends what the point is, what the purpose of the encounter is. Mm-hmm. So if we're on the phone, it depends what we're doing. Maybe it's just a 2-minute phone call and they just have a quick question. I'll just answer their question and, let them go. I just want to be helpful. But if it's, it's a longer thing like a free coaching session, well then, yeah, I make that part of my system that every time there's a free coaching session, I'm going to offer some kind of next step to them. And you have to do that in your marketing. There's no point for you to schedule a free coaching session if you're not going to offer them to buy something at the end, because it's not going to be a good business. Because if you're giving away all your time for free and you're not asking people to buy from you, then you're going to go broke really fast because you're not going to have any paying customers. You're only going to have free customers.
Right. And so I guess it depends on the person that you're working with, whether, it would be a logical transition to coaching or to product. Or both, or exactly. A combination of both.
Exactly. So, you've got to listen to what the customer really wants deep down, what they really need deep down, and then offer what you think is going to help them the most.
Mm-hmm. So then, getting back to, you were talking about relationships, right? And I mentioned that I've seen you interview some really top-notch people. how did you approach these people to start building the relationship so that they would, come on your podcast or guest blog for you? How did those relationships come to fruition, I guess?
Yes, so there are some really cool ways to do it, some really cool tips and tricks that I've used to help kind of meet people in the industry who are kind of way above my level, or at least were at the time. Like Dr. Barry Sears, I had no idea, this guy who sold 5 million books, that I'd be able to interview him. But how I did it is, first of all, I started the show. And that's the big thing, is that you have to have something that's going to, allow you to help this person. So, he wouldn't have been on the show just to help me out. He was there to promote his book, right? That's what his goal was. And so you have to have some way where you're promoting these other health experts in order for you to build those relationships with them. And so for me, it was a podcast show. You can do YouTube interviews. You can do blog interviews, whatever it is that you want to do. But I think podcast shows, video interview, web TV shows are an awesome way to do it. But how I actually landed that interview was through Haro, Help a Reporter Out. So if you go to helpareporter.com, it's an awesome site. It links up journalists and people who want to be in the news, experts from all walks of life. So there's actually a list in Haro just for health experts, or just for the health industry, really. And so I just put a post in there and said, hey, I've got this alternative health podcast show. I'm looking to interview experts. And I put that post out there. It's totally free to do. And I got about 50 emails, and one of those was Dr. Barry Sears' assistant, and I said, hey, awesome, I'm going to jump on that one. That one looks great. And we did it.
Huh. So you really just sent out a request through Haro, and that's how you got all these people to connect with you?
Not all of them, but it's definitely a great way to get a start, for sure. Other ways to do it are through warm introductions. So, maybe you know someone who knows someone who knows Deepak Chopra. You can build relationships that way. What I did is I just started out with people like you, Ann, who I already knew in my network. And I just said, hey, I really respect you, and I know you're doing health coaching as well. Why don't I interview you for the show? It'd be fun. And, that was when the show didn't really have much of an audience, right? So my friends were the ones who wanted to help me out in the beginning, and then once it grew, then I had a lot more opportunities to interview more successful, famous people.
How long would you say it took for your podcast to really take off?
I'm not sure. Well, it took off pretty fast in the fact that, I was able to interview people like Barry Sears within just a few months, which was really cool. But so it took off really fast in the fact that I was building relationships with people in the industry that I never would have been able to meet without that show. Yeah. And so for me, even before the show kind of became successful with my audience, it became successful as far as I was concerned, because I was meeting these people who were like top-notch in my industry. And my sales were increasing dramatically because of that, and my opportunities were increasing dramatically because of that. But, it probably took about 8 to 9 months before the audience really picked up into the thousands and started to grow that way. But, once you have those relationships and people like Barry Sears promoting your show, it's obviously going to get an audience once you have those kinds of people in your network.
So I guess getting back to getting Dr. Barry Sears to promote your show, was it just as simple as, hey, well, now that I've been interviewed on this show, he's going to tell his list or his people that, oh, hey, I was just interviewed, so check out this interview on this podcast or this website? Or, did you ask him and say, oh, would you mind doing that, or he just did it on his own?
I think there's a debate for sure. I've talked to other people about this who do interview shows, and some of them say, you should never ask someone to promote your show for you once you've interviewed them. They think it's not a very classy move. And other people think, if I took the time to interview them, I might as well have them to promote the show. So I think you can do it either way for sure. The fact of the matter is, if you don't ask someone to promote your show, there's like a 95% chance they're going to promote it anyways. They kind of know what they're doing. If they're in the media, and if they do interviews often, they know that they're going to share your show on Facebook and Twitter. That's just something they do every time they get interviewed. So so you can do it either way. It's definitely, whatever you feel more comfortable with.
Okay. And did you I mean, when you sent out the horror request, did you have to tell people, oh, I have X amount of people on my list currently and X amount of listeners and this many people download my show, or was it just as simple as, I'm looking to interview experts, and then they just answered your request?
Yeah, I was just saying, I'm just looking to interview some experts. I told them the show is about alternative health. They keep it really simple, basic. I told them what the requirements were in terms of what I needed from the guest. If you keep it simple, you're going to get response no matter what with Haro. So, you can always tweak it and test it from there. But I didn't have much of a big audience at the time, so I wasn't kind of bragging about my hundreds of downloads. It wasn't really enough to brag about at the time, so I just left that information out.
Right. Wow. It sounds so simple, right? And I think we always tend to make it so complicated in our heads. So I like that. I like that. It's just keep it as basic as possible. Don't say you have a list if you don't have a big list, and whoever you're going to attract, you're meant to attract. So that's fantastic.
Exactly. And you can't be afraid to fail. I've had people ask me after the horror request, how many people do you have on your show, or how big is your audience? And I would tell them, the real numbers, like, I have like 200 downloads or whatever, and I was just starting out, and they would either be like, okay, whatever, I'll interview anyways, or they would say, no, I'm sorry, your audience isn't big enough yet. And it's so what? There were hundreds of other people who wanted to be on my show. That everyone wants to be interviewed. So you can't be afraid of that rejection. You're going to get rejected. I still, to this day, get rejected from my show, even though we have thousands of people in the audience. So it's nothing personal. It's always a business decision for that person. Mm-hmm. And you just can't be afraid to go out there and make it happen. If you've got a message to share, go out and share it. Don't be afraid of what people think about it. Who cares?
Right. Well, when you get to a point, sometimes you'll just get to a point where you become that expert, and then people are coming to you then, right? So you just keep sharing your message, and people will start showing up. So
exactly, and all the people at the top, they start at the bottom too.
Right.
So if you're starting at the bottom, there's no shame in that. We all start somewhere, right? We all started out as babies, crawling around. So.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Don't be afraid to start at the bottom. You'll work your way up. Just don't quit.
Well, so Tom, you've talked a lot about the many different avenues that you've pursued, whether it was podcasting or blogging, videos on YouTube, etc. What is your favorite way to attract more clients nowadays?
Well, it's definitely online. I think online is huge. It's only going to grow. It's pretty much the new media now. Back in the day, there was television and radio and newspapers, and, if you were a business owner, you would advertise in the TV and the radio and newspapers, and now, the newspaper industry is dying. TV and radio are changing. Now as many people are listening, it's, more people listen to their iPods now than they listen to the radio. So instead of trying to go out there and do radio ads, I do podcasting, right? And instead of out there doing ads on TV, I do ads on YouTube or ads on Facebook. So I think it's all about online now. And I think the best thing to do if you're starting out and you have nothing, no information about online marketing is to just focus on one thing. Focus on getting your blog started, or focus on Facebook, or focus on Twitter, but just do one thing until you get good at it and you're comfortable with it, and then you can expand and learn from there. But, whatever you're doing online, it's going to reach people. If you do it and you do it well, you're going to reach people and get new customers that way. Cool.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned Twitter and Facebook, because I was going to ask you about that. With social media nowadays, how do you integrate that into your business? How do you use social media to build your list or get more clients?
So the general strategy is that you share great content for free, right? You want to brand yourself as an expert on health as a health coach, then you've got to be sharing health information. I see people on Facebook and they're a health coach, but they're talking about what they ate for breakfast, which actually kind of makes sense for a health coach. But what I'm saying? They're giving personal details about their life that have nothing to do with business, and that is not useful to their audience, and that's not attracting new customers to you. Whereas if you are sharing as a health coach, or you're sharing about, hey, this is how often you need to exercise, and you're sharing inspirational quotes to get people to go to the gym or to get people to eat healthier, you're sharing information that's useful for them, then you're going to attract new customers that way. And that's the general strategy of it.
So the concepts are the same, just applied across different mediums.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, I guess one last question before we let you go. Looking back at your career so far, if you had to start over, is there anything you would have done differently?
Yeah, I would have learned about the internet a lot sooner. I actually did start blogging like back in 2007, 2008, but I didn't really take it seriously. It was kind of something I started doing for fun, and I had no idea what I was doing. I still started making like $40 a month pretty quickly from my blog, but if I had been more serious much earlier and I really studied it and really spent more time on it, then I would be making a lot more money now and would have had a much better thriving business if I had just started studying it earlier.
Awesome. So I guess that's kind of the reason why you started this new venture, right? The blogbusinessschool.com to teach others what you wish you had known earlier.
Exactly. That's exactly why I started. You took the words right on up, and it's like word for word exactly why, because I struggled for years with how to make money online. Like I was blogging, but I didn't know I didn't know the right things to do. I was wasting my time on things that were ineffective, and I would try to go learn more, and I would pay like $2,000 for this training course, and then I would try to apply the information, and it was totally worthless to me. Or I would go buy some software for $1,000, and it didn't work. And so I ended up spending tens of thousands of dollars on all this training stuff to learn how to market my business online. And in the end, what I actually learned that was useful was all free information that was already out there, and that's what made me the most money. And so what I did is I developed this free training program at blogbusinessschool.com where I teach you how to set up your blog for free. To avoid the mistakes that I made, I paid $8,000 for my blog, which is ridiculous. Nowadays, you can do it for free. It costs you less than $50 for hosting and everything. You can totally set it for free. You can get it done in 30 minutes, and I'll teach you how to do that for free. And there's so many other things I teach you for free because, I think the information should be for free. I think if you have a message to share with people, the internet has allowed us to share that message very cheaply. Yet at the same time, there's so much information out there that can be really confusing. So I wanted to break it down to the simple, basic steps of what you need to do step by step, make it free, and so that we can get more great information out there and help more people get, healthy and live a better life.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, it sounds like you've just found your life's passion, and I don't know, you're pretty young. I don't even know how old you are, but I'm just pretty envious that, and I think a lot of people would be too, that at such a young age, you found your passion, and, you're doing what you love, and it's bringing in good money for you. So, and really that's the whole purpose of this health coaching, marketing experts program is to help people be able to find what their passion is, market themselves appropriately, and create a lifestyle business for themselves so that they can really enjoy their life. So I do appreciate your time and coming with us and sharing your insights. So remember, guys, next time we're going to have some more great coaching programs and experts. So stick around and for the next call. Thanks so much. Bye.